All right, welcome back to the Ian S. Hoover Show. I have one of my favorite people on the podcast with me today, and that is Stephanie Alfonso. Hi, Stephanie.
Yay.
How are you?
Hi, Ian. Man, what a great intro. One of your favorite people. The
Uh,
expectation bar has been set high.
It's true. You meet people in life sometimes where you just instantly connect with them and you feel like, you know what, I feel like I've known this person in another life or something like that.
Yeah.
A little backstory on our relationship is I went to Inman I'm pretty sure it was the first time I spoke, and then I met you. I just like started going into breakout sessions, and I met you with a former company that you were working with, and
hmm
we just happened to need new software at my real estate brokerage, and then we connected through that. And I still put you through the ringer though to earn our
I was going to
business.
say, like, is he going to tell the whole story or yes, you put me through the ringer. And I will tell you that, like, again, some friendships are just meant to be. Because in that breakout session, nobody came. Like it was just one of those things where it was like we had
Just
one
me and one
session
other
where
guy. Yeah.
yeah, there was like one session has 120 people in it, another session where like there's nobody here. And so we were able to just kind of talk to you and this other guy. Um, and obviously, lo and behold, what is it, 5, 6 years later? Now I'm on
That
your
was
pod,
20, it's either 2018 or 2019 when we met. So yeah, at least 5 years ago, which seems like it
right?
was yesterday, which is pretty crazy.
So
So
crazy.
we connected, and then I was interviewing a bunch of software companies because one of the tidbits that I took from Inman was like go home and survey your agents and ask them what they like and what they don't like about your brokerage. And nobody liked KV Core. Not a single one of my agents was like, "Oh, I love KV Core." It was all.
Mhm.
I think the highest rating it got was a 2 out of 5 stars on the survey that I did,
Oh, wow.
and it's literally one of our biggest cost items, our biggest line items. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, we need to make a change. So because of the fact that I met you, I invited you to pitch to our agents. You were one
Yep.
of 5 finalists, and then it came to you, down to you guys, and then I think it was Lopo was the other one.
Mhm.
And it was real close, but you actually like answered your phone when we had a follow-up question, and they were like, "That's it. We want to go with her," because Lopo didn't, and that's why you got the business because you just communicated, right? Like that's
Oh gosh. Hey, listen, I love that you said that because that's like spawns like everything I believe in business, right? Like imagine that, answer your phone and just be a real person. Like
it's amazing. Just
my
just
my
answer
book
your
is
phone.
one page. My book is one page. That's it. No, but
But
it was
tell,
great. And just to kind of like give you a tail end to that story, uh I never felt ever before like I was on American Idol like I did when I was interviewing or auditioning to work with Deacon and Hoover. But I love that about you guys. Like you obviously cared about a huge transition like a CRM platform. That you interviewed people that you made me work for your business. And so I think that's just a testament to you and to your agents, because you guys had like a panel. I was like on a screen, and then the next person came up and it was like, bye. And I was like, dang, like I didn't even get any feedback. I just walked away from that audition like, whoa,
yep.
okay, we'll
Yeah, we
see
were
what
on a tight
happens.
timeline, just back to back to back pitches, and then the agents decided who they wanted. I figured no better person to choose a software than the people who are going to be using it,
Yep.
and we're still with that software company today. But you've moved on in your career,
Uh-huh.
but we're going to get into that. But I want to start with what got you to where you're at now. So let's start like I
Like
don't
my
know where
origin story.
yeah, your origin story. Let's hear it.
Oh gosh, well, my origin story is kind of crazy. I did not start in the real estate space, so let me start where I am, and then we'll move backwards real quick. So I work for Constant Contact now. Started in January and came here to run and develop the real estate vertical within Constant Contact. I have been in the real estate tech space for a little over a decade now, but my origin story before I came into real estate tech was I was a dance teacher for over 15 years. I was a single mom, two daughters. And when they got to the age where they needed to, they wanted to take ballet, get into dance, and they're about between 2 and 3 years old. And of course, I wanted to provide that from them because I was a dancer and I grew up doing it. And I thought to myself, like, okay, well, in order for me to afford this, like, I'm going to have to start teaching dance myself because I just didn't have the finances to do that. I was a really young mom. And so I started doing that. I just started teaching at the studio that I wanted them to go to. And that developed, and I started teaching at multiple studios. I met my really good friend at the time, and she was going to different schools and doing after school programs for parents that, were working parents, or they couldn't take their kid to dance class at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, or on a Saturday they had another kid that played sports and they couldn't do dance. And I really loved that business model. And so I like really bought into it and loved it. And it grew to where I was teaching about 36 classes a week. I was doing after school programs. Kids were growing out of the schools. And so we ended up, starting a brick and mortar, opened up the studio. And I did that for many years. We did competition dancing. My kids all grew up doing competition dancing, and I loved it, and it was my passion, and I thought I would do it forever and ever. And as we grow, our passions change, our circumstances change. My kids were getting ready to go to college. They were auditioning for all these different schools because they were in the performing arts, and I just knew it was time for me to leave that. And one of the hardest decisions of my life, and one of my students' dads, I knew he was in business, and I didn't really know what he did, but just kind of like just my personality, I was just kind of like, hey, so thinking about laying this down. Can you look at my resume and just kind of give me some advice? Because, you know, dance teacher since I was 18 years old. I don't know how that's going to translate to a whole lot. Anyway, so I gave him my resume to look at, and he basically called me. I was in the grocery store parking lot, and he said, Steph, I've known you for many years, and you can sell and you can speak and you have a passion for people and you know how to grow a business. And he's like, I want you to come work for me. And I was like, oh, wow. So what do you do? And anyway, so he was in the real estate tech space, and it was just like leap of faith. I look back and I think, how on earth, like, I can't even believe I made that decision. And I did. It took a little bit of a transition period, and I started learning the real estate space and learning real estate tech and going all over the country to MLSs and associations and just learning how to talk to agents. And it just grew from there. And that's where it all began. It was, hey, by the way, I want to take a look at my resume. I don't know what you do, but that's how that happened. Now, I will tell you, though, a little bit of background, though, as far as my family. My mom was a real estate agent and a mortgage lender growing up always. So I've always felt like it was kind of like in my world, and in my blood, so to speak, in one way, shape, or form, but never thought I would pursue it as a career.
Interesting. And I knew you had some sort of a dance background. I didn't know the full extent of it, but it does make sense. So I've witnessed you on stage in front of a lot of people,
Yeah.
and you have just a great stage presence. You're very confident, and that it just grows. It just adds to how successful you've been and everything. And it's like you can connect with an audience. It's something that you do really well. It's one of your skills, and
Yeah.
that's
Thanks.
really cool. It's cool. Did you sell your dance studio
No,
or?
no, it's still there. It's still running. So my friend that I had met when she was teaching the school, she still runs it and is still very successful. And it's an awesome studio here in
Awesome.
Tampa. Yeah, it was my time to go, and it was her time to grow. And so I just feel like, I don't know, I learned so many business lessons from doing that. I feel like doing that created who I am. Like you said, yes, I'm a dancer. I taught people how to present and tell a story on stage, obviously, for many years. But even just in working relationships and in business relationships and learning how to talk to people and learning to understand people's needs, I feel like all came from that world. So I do love public speaking. I do love the stage. And I'm passionate. I'm passionate about what I do. And so to me, I just feel like everything in my dance world prepared me for what I do now. So to Frank, who hired me, to his point, he kind of had this whole thing about like hire for character and talent and train for knowledge, right? It's like I can't teach you those skills, but I can teach you these. And I've been able to bring that into what I'm doing. So, hey, sometimes listen, if I'll be with the real estate agent, I'll be like, listen, if I can't teach you how to market your business, I can teach you how to tap dance. So we got two ways we can go here.
I always say that though. It's like I can't teach you how to talk to people. I could teach you how to sell real estate. I could teach you about real estate. I could teach you the process. But if you can't hold a conversation, you're probably going to have problems in this industry and or any sales industry, really, if you think
Right.
about it. But
Right.
that's really cool. I didn't know the full origin story, so now I do, and I'm excited to know that.
I had to
I
save it
wish
for the
you were
podcast.
I wish you were here in studio with us. I
I
typically
know.
like to do these in person, but we make the best of it. You got the little Christmas tree in the
I
background.
do. I do. I know.
You
I
ready
spend my
for the
life on
holidays?
this. Yeah, I'm ready. I mean, we're making a move. Here I'll give you some other breaking news for like not that your listeners care so much about this, but I am moving from Florida to Colorado.
Whoa.
I
Okay.
know. So
Why?
big, I know, right? Like what who does that? Who moves to the cold? Yeah, so we started planning this about 6 years ago for my husband's business. And for my business, I really can work anywhere. And it was just the right time. Kids are grown, and it was the right time. Everything kind of fell in line. And as far as my business, Constant Contact, we have an office in Colorado. I've got a lot of clients and a lot of business colleagues there, so I'm excited for that aspect of it. But yeah, big change. So when you say, "Are you ready for the holidays?" Yes, but I'm also planning a big cross country move at the same time.
Yeah, I've done a couple of those cross country moves. They're not fun. However, you are doing it the opposite way. You're supposed to, graduate your kids and then move somewhere warm. You're already in the somewhere warm, and now you're
I
like, oh, let's
know.
let's go to like probably the most cold area in the United States of America, right?
So
Colorado
true.
or Northeast where I'm at. We're pretty cold. Like I can't. I'm not
Yeah.
that I can't wait for my kids to be grown, but I can't wait for that moment when like I'm not tied down to Western Pennsylvania and like maybe I can stay a month
Yeah.
out of the year in Florida or somewhere warmer, right? Texas
Yeah.
is another one that I really like as well. But
Yeah. Yeah.
hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of the Ian S. Hoover Show. If you're enjoying this content, please follow me on social media at Ian S. Hoover on X, TikTok, YouTube. Let's connect and collaborate. Thanks for tuning in. Going back to what you talked about when you talked about it was time for you to make a transition, like what were
Mm.
some of the signs that you were just like, yeah, it's definitely time? Because it sounds like you were doing pretty well in that industry, so you could have probably kept it going, but you just decided it was time to make a move.
Yeah, it was. I don't want to say it was purely financial, because I guess I can definitely relate to small business owners in the sense of, um, you can have a booming, thriving business, but financial your own financial goals might not be lined up with that. And it was definitely it was a passion project for me for sure. So financial growth was definitely something I was seeking, but really, and my girls were going to college, and I have twins. They're both going to college at the same time. And then in these years, by the way, I also got married, and I have two wonderful stepdaughters who are also growing up too. And so looking ahead and planning ahead, I don't know. Sometimes you just have it in your gut, and I knew physically I couldn't do it forever. I just didn't think that it was going to be my future. And there was a lot of other things I wanted to accomplish. And, I wanted to go into public speaking. There were just things that I wanted to do that where I was just felt like an awesome, amazing 15 chapters of my book that I was ready to move on to chapter 16 in my career. So can't really pinpoint it to anything other than it was just, I knew it was time.
It's something I think about a lot because I've been in the real estate industry. I mean, I started investing when I was 19 years old, and then I
Wow.
got into the real estate industry when I was 23, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that. 23,
Yeah.
24, somewhere in that range. Now I'm pushing 15 years of being in the business, and it's just like, when do I feel like I can, I'm gonna have that feeling, I guess, right? So,
Yeah.
well,
And that it's
that's
okay to
interesting.
have that feeling. Like I almost struggled with some guilt, almost like, well, no, I've been doing this for so long. And that's how people know me is, I'm the ballet teacher. I'm the tap dancer. I'm the Zumba instructor. Like these are all the things people know in my community. And when you're raising your kids, you kind of get to know everybody, right? And these people became my best friends. Um, and I had to kind of give myself permission to go, but it's not forever for me. It really just wasn't. I didn't know what was. I definitely didn't say, I dream of being in real estate tech. Like that was never on my radar. It was like, I want to be a morning talk show host. That was on my radar.
Hmm, okay.
So now, I mean, seriously, like kind of little girl Stephanie was like wanting to have a talk. I wanted to be like the Kelly Ripa or the Kathy Lee Gifford. I'm aging myself at this point. Um,
Well, you
yeah, it's
had the
like,
personality for it, that's for sure. I mean, you probably could have done that, but then you just went down a completely different path and but now you're getting your own platform, right? So you switched
yeah,
to Constant Contact. When did you sign up with Constant Contact? It was about a year ago, maybe?
yeah, it'll be a year in January. Yeah, so that was a whole thing. Like, was with my other company, learned a ton, traveled a ton, like found that like I love this and I love this industry. And I knew I wanted to stay in the industry. So it's kind of crazy because Constant Contact was like the one company that I was speaking to that was not really like a quote unquote real estate specific company. And yet somehow that enticed me even more. It was kind of like I knew we were talking about like, hey, real estate's a big vertical here. And maybe it's just my personality that's like, okay, give me that challenge. Give me that challenge. I will make this the biggest vertical here at this company. Right. And so when I had the opportunity, it was like, yes, like that's what I want to do. Like I want to take something that is, I love how established it is and well respected, number one email deliverability in the world. Like these are great, amazing things about Constant Contact. But it's like, what does it mean in the real estate industry? The real estate industry, do they even look at it as like a real estate platform? Because I get it all the time. Like, oh, I didn't even know you guys were in real estate. And I wanted to change that narrative. Like that to me got me excited. And I was getting a renewed sense of like passion because I was in the real estate space and I agents spend hundreds and thousands of dollars every single month on things to grow their business. But what I didn't was where 86% of their business comes from, which was truly nurturing their sphere, growing their database, and effectively marketing to it. Because, like, there was some kind of, I can't even like quote it, guys, but there was a study done that basically it was like a group of home buyers and sellers were polled and they were asked, would you use your agent again? And over 90% of them said, yes, I'd use my agent again. Fast forward to when they bought or sold again, only 13% of them actually used the same agent. So I call that the leaky bucket. I could probably preach forever and write a million books on just this subject alone. But what happened was they became forgettable. They didn't stay in front, they didn't maintain that relationship. And so I thought to myself, gosh, agents, if you guys could stop spending thousands of dollars on X, Y, and Z and actually just focus your time and energy into plugging up the holes of that leaky bucket you have called your database, your business would grow.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out the latest episode of the E&S Hoover Show. If you want to support me, please swing by Amazon, check out my new book, Short-Term Memory Loss. It's a book about sales, but more importantly, it's a book about how to improve your life with sales. Even if you're not a salesperson, this book will help you improve your life. It'll help you get a promotion at your job. It'll help you negotiate a better deal on a car. You can use sales to improve just about every aspect of your life. So if you wouldn't mind, swing by Amazon, pick up a copy today. Or if you're an Amazon Kindle subscriber, it's free. Just check out the book. Let me know how you like it. Thanks. So you talked about getting kind of acclimated and the leaky bucket now, but
Mm-hmm.
I really, it kind of blows my mind that you're talking one email a week could save your business or grow your business.
Yep.
Is it like, do people really like check emails still? Like, is that still a thing? Like, I feel like my personal email account is just flooded with crap, and I rarely ever
Mm-hmm.
check my my work email. Yes, I stay up on it, but my personal email, which I assume is what you're mostly dealing with your consumers, so email still a thing, or is it text messaging? Like,
Oh,
I would have thought it'd be more texting or social media.
so it's all the above, right? And it's like I like to call it the trifecta, right? You've got email, you've got social media, and you have SMS. And when you think about it, like number one, you don't own your social media list. You don't own that. The algorithms do, right? And
True.
depending on the time of the year and what's going on in the world, is how much the algorithms like you or don't like you, how engaging you are. That we don't own that list. You own your email list. You own who's in your phone, right? But then the argument could be made as well about SMS is like, oh my gosh, we just went through Black Friday. Like how many text campaigns were you getting that it was kind of driving up the wall a little bit? Um, but really when it comes down to, and there's been so much research done, and I'm not going to bore everyone with stats, right? But it's like 91% of people polled, so they still receiving weekly emails. But think about it. You go on vacation, Ian, and you are on vacation for a week or 2 weeks, you come back, you're not like, oh my gosh, I got to check my TikTok, or oh my gosh, I need to catch up on my Facebook. You want to catch up on your email because that's where business gets done, right?
Yeah.
That's where people spend more time kind of per second, right? People are on average on a social post for 2 seconds on their phone. They're on an email for 9 seconds on their phone. So, we can get into the nitty gritty of how we should be structuring emails, how we can be structuring subject lines so you're actually being opened. But every study points to email is still the number one place to get business done. So, as a real estate professional, you want to make sure that you are consistently, not constant, creating that habit forming. And I know that if I'm going to get a newsletter from Ian every Wednesday at 9 a.m., and I'm going to have value sent to me, for example, I have a client of mine, I talk about this all the time in my classes, that she puts all of the local high school stuff in her newsletters. People are engaging with that. They'll put stuff that's going on with a nonprofit that they're involved with. So it's community based. I know an agent that I work with that does a restaurant of the week, that does a business of the month. There's other things besides just buy with me, sell with me. These are my listings. If you're just doing that, then yeah, it's going to kind of glaze over me. And, you might just become one of the items that I, move right past. But if you're giving me interesting info, I have another agent that does movie reviews. Like think about it. It's give me value. It's that 80-20 rule, right? 80% value, 20% business. You got to make sure I have to know when I get an email from you, or if I go to your social media, I want to know who you are and who you serve. Yes. My mom has been a mortgage lender for many, many, many years. She would specialize in pre-construction loans. If I went to her social media, I wouldn't have known that. So I would tell her like, hey, I need to know who you are and who you serve. But make sure the content that you're sending me all the time isn't just that, because it's salesy. Like we need to prioritize relationships over transactions. That's my whole like soapbox.
I always tell my agents that if you always constantly only talk to people about real estate and you only put out real estate content, then people are going to tune you out. And there's actually,
Yeah,
like on Facebook nowadays, you could literally just mute somebody so that it doesn't
you're right.
pop up in your feed anymore, but you're not like offending them by unfriending them or blocking them. And
Yeah,
that's what you're going to get if you constantly just put, one thing, a sales pitch down somebody's throat. You got to give them some real good content. I always, what I get the most action of on social media. I do it a couple of times a year, but I'll do like a this or that, like voting, right? On my,
yeah,
you've probably seen it on my social media where I'll go like Starbucks or Dunkin', and I'll make people vote. But not only do people vote, but they also then send me messages saying why they like Starbucks over Dunkin' or why they like Dunkin' over Starbucks. And it starts a
yeah,
conversation, which is so powerful, right? Because you're like, oh,
yeah,
I haven't talked to you since 2017. How have you been? You start to build that relationship again, and
yeah,
then it opens the door to you then having more potential funnel, right? Like it's somebody
yeah,
that probably was turned off and now is turned back on, right? So
yep.
it's
It's
anything you can do there.
relationships. Sales is relationships. Real estate, any type of referral based business. I mean, I could argue all sales, all business is about relationships, but that's the kind of stuff we need. Listen, I'm going to tell you how I found my realtor in Denver, because people ask me, oh, how do you work with so many agents? Like, how'd you even choose a real estate agent in Denver? So, my husband and I, we were watching, remember, we've been planning this a long time, and we were watching videos on Denver, things to do, restaurants, neighborhoods. Like, I don't know anybody in Denver. Actually, I do know one. We used to work together. So, shout out to Megan. I love her. She's my only friend right now. Um, but we were just watching all these videos. Well, we were watching one, video guy in particular, and loved his videos. He was funny. It was very useful information. I watched several of his videos before I even knew he was a real estate professional. But I loved it because he was like really breaking down like all of the different like suburbs of Denver. So finally, when we were going to be visiting over 4th of July, so this was last year, I reached out to him. I'm just kind of like, he was like a celebrity at this point because I was loving his videos so much. So I was almost like nervous calling him. And anyway, I reached out and it's funny. I'm like, dude, I talk to real estate agents every day. Like, what's up? So I called him, he called me back and we just had a conversation, started talking, blah, blah, blah. Went to Denver, met up with him. I felt like we were on a blind date. And anyway, so my husband and I, we hung out, we became friends. He's so helpful to us. And we're still friends to this day. Like literally went to go look at the house. Like while we were there, we're renting because we don't know anything over there. So we're not our first year, we're going to rent. But I was like, hey, Sam, can you go look at the house, make sure it's great, meet with the owner, blah, blah, blah. Totally did. FaceTimed us. Anyway, he is a great example. Shout out to Sam Newman in Denver. You guys check it out. Sam Newman on YouTube, Instagram, all that great stuff. He does great content. He just did a series right now on all the top 10 best steakhouses in Denver. So great video series, probably the least produced type of video that he does. He really does like really great produced videos, but this was more kind of raw with his phone. He's gotten so much engagement. He's gotten engagement from us because I'm like, really? You liked this steakhouse over Eddie V's? And to your point, right? Like people are commenting, people are wanting to engage. Oh my gosh, how come you didn't go to Elway's or, these different places? And he got so much engagement from this stinking steakhouse series. He did like a follow-up live video where he was like reading off everybody's comments. It was hysterical. But my whole point of this is he gets great clients from out of state. People are moving to Denver locally. And he's not just saying, hey, everyone, I'm a local Denver realtor. Here are these properties. Or, hey, have you ever thought about this for your home inspection? Or he does some of that stuff, but he's doing stuff that's like matters to me and that I find interesting. So listen, when we're renting right now, we met a year ago. So by the time we buy, we'll have known him for 2 years. I'm not going to we're friends. I watch his videos still. That's the kind of stuff people in the real estate industry need to be emulating.
So how do I get my agents that are reluctant to do video? Because that's like, I know videos where it's at.
I know.
You taught me videos where it's at, right?
That's
Hey,
right.
videos where it's at. You got to put yourself on camera. You gotta get out there. And I even brought in, shout out to Zach's Tech Turf, one of my buddies. He has a YouTube channel with a couple 100,000 followers and TikTok, the whole 9 yards. We paid to bring him in to train people on video.
Oh, cool.
And like, nobody still will do video. It's like, it's mind blowing to me. It's like, I literally am giving you the golden ticket. Here's the golden ticket to the chocolate factory.
Right.
Open
And they're like,
the doors, come on in. And they're just like, nah, I'm good.
They're like, they're like, we're so used to Hershey chocolate that we don't even want all the, no, that was a Pennsylvania joke. Sorry. It's a bad one.
Yeah. We don't want Willy Wonka. We got Hershey's.
We have Hershey. Okay. So this is what I coach agents on. I used to say 10 years ago, you should do video, but if you're not comfortable with it, then do all these things. I have very much evolved to just like our industry has evolved to you need to be doing video or you're going to be behind. If you are not comfortable with you being on video, then don't start with you, right? Maybe you're just not comfortable with your face or your voice. So video someone else, right? Video that restaurant owner and have him talk about, the new brews he has on tap every Friday, or video a neighborhood, or video someone else. If you want to do something business oriented, have your mortgage lender, get on video and talk about what's going on with interest rates or projections for 2025 or whatever it is. So that would be my first thing. Like, get the phone out. Doesn't have to be. It can look like Blair Witch Project. Okay, that's fine. Just start somewhere and just do it. then you'll start to get a little bit more comfortable, right? But I think the biggest thing is like, I would challenge your agents, like, put your first 5 videos out. I'll send you a content, some like an AI prompt thing. I'll send it to you. I'll send you guys also some like video ideas, even just like, okay, buyer's agent, here are the top 5 reasons why you're valuable. Can you talk for 60 seconds about why you are great at negotiating? Because we're in a negotiator's paradise right now, right? Talk for 60 seconds on why you are a great negotiator. Boom, there's a video, right? Talk for 60 seconds about how you are, you know the market, you know the neighborhoods, you know the schools, you know the doctors in the area. Talk about it for 60 seconds. Because we not only, so here's the thing, short form content, right, is like what people are all about right now. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing for those who are not like loving video because, hey, can you do it for 60 seconds?
Yeah.
um, right. And it's a bad thing for people like me who are like long winded and I want to do like a 3 hour video and I need to like condense my life. Right. But I think if you can just get some ideas, maybe that's what, your agents need. And maybe that's a way that you can help them is crafting ideas to say, because that's where they get blank page syndrome. They do that with writing emails and writing social posts too. Like, what do I talk about?
I mean, I've combated that to till I was blue in the face. I mean, there's so many tools out there. If you want to use Chat GPT or Copilot, I mean,
Yeah.
give me 10 ideas for real estate videos. Give me 10 ideas for, showing my neighborhood off. Anything like that.
Yeah.
And to your point where you said just start, even if you're not going to put your face in it or your voice in it.
Yep.
There's a guy locally here in Pittsburgh. I think his name's Mark. And that's all he does is he just videos different neighborhoods in Pittsburgh, and he ends up getting a decent amount of referral business off of it. And I don't even think I've ever seen his face in one of the videos that pops up. And I don't even follow him. His videos pop up because of obviously, I guess we're in similar industries and have
Yeah.
similar friends and stuff. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to get out there and do video.
Yeah. And also, like, and sometimes this is difficult and it's easier said than done for other people, but like, what makes your heart beat fast? With Sam, obviously he likes steak. He's like a big steak guy. So it was natural for him to go check out the steak houses in the area. So that was fun. He was passionate about it. What are you passionate about, right? I mean, I would probably like advise to stay away from controversial stuff, politics and sports,
Yeah.
especially if you're a Cowboys fan.
Oh,
But
whoa. We're taking shots now. Politics you stay away from. I feel like sports you get a lot of engagement off of.
you do. You're right. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'll concede to that. You're right. We used to say stay away from sports because sports can be controversial, turn people away, but you're right. I'm down with sports.
It's politics and religion you stay away from, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So, and some people, hey, they're like, nope, this is my brand. Whether if it's maybe their religion and that's their brand, then that's your choice, right? Just understand that you could turn people away with that, right? So,
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode. I have just recently revamped my website. Check it out, ianhoover.com, just my name. You can go there, check out what I've been working on, and also collaborate with me. There's a form to fill out on there if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you want to schedule some one-on-one time with me. Swing over to my website, fill out the form, and let's collaborate. Thanks for tuning in.
so kind of going back to when you were like, hey, so email, is that really a thing? And my initial argument was like, yes, people are still using email. Yes, that's where business gets done. But I want everyone to think of their other sources, right? When we think about that trifecta, your social media, you've got the broadest reach, right? You can reach, I would say, hundreds to potentially thousands of people on social media. So you want to harness the strength of that because that is the biggest and most powerful tool that you'll have to grow your list, right? That's how you're going to get more people to subscribe to your newsletter, to get engaged and interested in what you're doing, right? So social media is powerful and it's super important. It is, I don't want to say the most important because I really think it all works together and business gets done in email. But we like Constant Contact, we are a social media platform. You need to be on social media. You need to harness the strength of broad reach to grow your list. And then SMS, You want to use, I almost like it as like a funnel. Like, oh, I call it the party principle. The big party is your social media. Everybody and anybody's invited. Further down that funnel, you've got the after party, right? Some say that's the most fun, and it's definitely where business gets down. That was in no way in reference to Diddy or anything like that. So my apologies if you can totally edit that out. But I know we're in sensitive times. Okay, after party, right? Email, that's where business gets done. And then further down that funnel, you've got SMS, your VIPs. These are people who are opting in for you to interrupt me no matter what I'm doing during the day, right? So your active buyers, your active sellers, your kind of top 100, or maybe it's the people who are actually engaging with 123 Main Street from your email. You send a newsletter out to 1,200 people, right? And on that newsletter, you've got 10 people who are clicking and engaging on your listing that you have at the bottom of your newsletter. Put those in a text campaign. Put that those engaged people who are saying, I'm interested in 123 Main Street, and now give them updates via SMS. So you've got that, open house on Saturday. I was clicking on your email, and now, Pablo and I are driving around on a Saturday running errands, and I get that text notification of that reminder of that open house from 12 to 2. It's like, whoa, oh, honey, turn the car around, right? I wasn't checking my email that Saturday, but that SMS, that text that I got from my realtor was relevant to me. I already opted into receiving texts from you, which, by the way, people are doing. Delta asked me, hey, do you want to receive updates via email or text? I chose text, of course, because it's timely and relevant. I want to know if my flight's delayed via text, right? And your active VIPs are going to want to receive those updates from you. If I'm looking at 123 Main Street and there's a price reduction, especially in 2025, I think competition will start creeping up a little more. I want to know, and I want to know right away. So I really think we need to start looking at digital marketing really working together to make each more powerful. Like SMS should be augmenting instead of drip campaigns via email, right? Don't send me another email. Now send me a text. And I think that's where agents are going to start getting real savvy.
It's like the next level of the relationship. So start with the email, build it into the text, and continue on with hopefully in-person meetings and close the deal, right?
That's right, right? So it's kind of like social media is like the dating app. Email is like we've gone on a few one-on-ones, and now SMS is like, hey, w- we're going to family week. We're going to be in fantasy suites now, if we're relating this back to The Bachelorette. Sorry, I'm a Bachelor fan, the show, and especially
I've
Golden
never
Home.
watched it.
What
Never
really?
watched it. Yeah.
I know I'm part of Bachelor Nation. I know it's.
I've heard
I
it's
guess the guilty.
addicting, so I don't need any more addictive television in my life.
Yeah, I'm not a big reality person, but I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my age a little bit, but yeah, I'm down with Bachelor Nation.
Well, I know I don't have you for too much longer, and I think I would be doing you a disservice if we didn't get into constant contact a little bit. And
Sure.
to your credit, and part of the reason why I think you are so good at your job is you like that I'm what business I'm in. You know that I'm a previous customer of yours,
Yep.
but you never once have like been like, "Hey, bro, we need to get on a sales call right now and like listen to what I got going on." And you're just like, it's gonna happen eventually. I'm gonna get you, but like you're kind of like wheeling me in slowly. But like I've actually never like I've always thought constant contact was kind of like in the what was the MailChimp, like
Mhm.
just an email platform, and that was all it is. I'm sure they probably have some CRM aspects to it, but what is constant contact, and how would it implement into my business, and how would it impact my business versus the product I'm using right now, which is
Yep.
Elevate, right?
Yep.
Which I really like Elevate. It's a great
Yeah.
product, and it's worked well for our business. It's not without its downfalls as any
As
product has,
any,
but
yeah, of course, of
exactly.
course. So, love that. So, I'm going to first address the compliment you gave, which is we have a relationship, right? Like I'm not a cheesy, sleazy salesperson. Um, and if anybody in the sales world from Constant Contact is listening to this, they'll probably be like, dang it, Stephanie, you knew this successful independent broker in Pittsburgh and you haven't tried to sell him yet. But it really goes down to like the heartbeat of what I believe sales is it's a relationship, right? And when the time is right, like we keep in contact, you see my content and we'll go there. And I want to maintain a relationship with you always, right? Like regardless of what I'm a part of. But Constant Contact is known for email, just like MailChimp, right? Who is probably our competitor, right? MailChimp and Constant Contact. Um, we were the first on the scene. We pretty much invented the space. And it's our superpower that we're known for email because we're the best at it. But it's also a downfall because we're not just that. Like we are a digital marketing solution, which is social media, which is email, SMS, landing pages, event marketing, you know, obviously AI for content creation, segmentation, automation. It is a full blown marketing CRM, if you will. So when you think about like how it's going to bring value to your business, I mean, so many different ways, obviously, with obviously consistent marketing. A lot of agents like to use it in conjunction with their CRM, right? When you have an integration with your CRM and Constant Contact can digest, content from your CRM and vice versa, now it's supercharged, right? Like, so that's great when those are talking together. But I don't like it when we position Constant Contact as a CRM. It's not a sales CRM. It is a marketing CRM. But when we talk about landing pages, which is a really big deal for the real estate space, your agents are going to get more traffic and activity to a landing page than they ever will to their website.
Hmm.
Straight up, you're going to get more traffic to a landing page. And I'm going to give you a quote that I have from a really successful agent in the Chicago area, Marquis Lemons-Rowell. She's a global speaker, 30-time author, hosts the Drive podcast with NAR. And she gave me a quote, and she just talking about landing pages. She said, in our brokerage, we have 253 agents. The number one, number two, number three, and number four in units sold year to date are members of her team. The top producers all leverage landing pages in their real estate business. The landing page empower them to generate substantially more leads than the other agents in the company. Constant Contact is pivotal in our success and nurturing from customer to closing. And I love that because she touched on something that we're not known for, right? Like, oh, you guys have unlimited landing pages, whether you're using that as like a single property website or whatever it is that you're promoting. All of these things encompass digital marketing. So that's where it's going to be valuable for your business. And I will happily give you a demo. Ian, if you're asking me here on the podcast, I'll get you a really great demo. But
I need to be on your podcast first, and then we'll do a demo.
you're coming to my podcast. Yes, because we have to talk about your book, Short Term Memory Loss. I noticed on your podcast, you haven't done a lot of promotion of your book. So I'm hyping you up. I'm going to gas you up right here.
Well,
And
I
I'm
just started implementing some little commercials that I started putting in. There's a couple things that I'm focused on. One is growing my following online. So that's one clip I've been clipping in. So when you go back and watch this episode, you'll see that.
cool.
I boost the book a little bit just because I really think it's good content, and I think that it's going to add value. It's not going to make me millions of dollars, but I think it's just going to add value to people's life, and that's why I wrote it. I really wrote a book that I wanted the 19-year-old version of myself to have, right? Like that's
Mm,
what my mindset was. Like, because if I knew everything I know now when I was 19, where would I be today, right? Like, and that's
yeah.
kind of the thought process that went into it. And the other thing I promote is my website. I revamped my ianhoover.com,
Hmm.
and it's a place you can go and learn about me, but also book one-on-one time with me, request to be on the show, the whole nine yards. So just kind of
Cool.
I'm starting to get out there and start
Good for
asking a little
you.
bit, but it's one of those things where I'm more about right now, like, let's just get back to making content because I took a good long break from it, and
Hmm.
it's just something I want to get back into. I'm passionate about. I really enjoy it, and it breaks up the normal day-to-day routine that I have. But I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard great things about Constant Contact, and I probably should sit on a demo. Not that I mean, honestly, the biggest problem for me is,
Yeah.
and maybe you have a combat for that is, but
Hmm.
I mean, the implementation when you get to like we have about 60 agents now. When you get
Yeah.
to 60 agents, like trying to implement and get them to buy in is
Yep.
so hard.
I
It's so
know.
hard. It was hard the last time I made a switch, and I only had like 40 or 45 agents at the time.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that like if it was just me and me only, it'd be so easy to switch and just and do that.
Yeah.
But
So here's what's so cool though, and I'll tell you, and a lot of your listeners too, if they're thinking about, oh, I want to look up constant contact, what it can do too is like a lot of what you can do, Ian, is you can create a lot and pass it down to everybody else. Like as far as different campaigns, templates, like there's just a lot that can be done from kind of the parent or the grandparent account. So, like, let's say you have a team, right? You can have the grandparent account be you, then you can have the parent account be the team lead, and then the children accounts under that team lead. And content can be passed down and created from the top and trickle down. So, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like you said, there's a lot that I can go into to show you guys, like, hey, this is not like adopting a sales CRM. Adopting a new sales CRM, worth it in your case. Like you said, nobody was using it, nobody liked it, but it's a lot of work. This is a little bit different. It's also a little bit more fun when you think of just the kind of the creative things you can do. Anything you're doing with Canva, you can do all in there. So we'll do that. But as for what you were saying, as far as like the things that you're doing, you create an awesome culture. That's something I use you as an example a lot when we talk about like culture in a brokerage. I tell people the story all the time, like, hey, my favorite brokerage that I ever went to, we had a ping pong tournament, and the broker was kind of laughing because I should have been like the polite, like tech gal coming in trying to sell the office, but I was like, sit down, I'm going to kick your ass. And I'm, getting super competitive with everybody. But
you were.
we had we had so much fun, and like I love that. I just think you have customers, right? But your people that you are selling to and taking care of are your agents. And I feel like you do a really good job setting those expectations just from the top down. And obviously, a lot of the people that I knew years ago are still there. So, hey, kudos to you.
Well,
You're doing some good
it's
stuff.
we don't get me wrong. I think every brokerage has turnover, and you're gonna
Of
lose
course.
somebody here or there, and sometimes people just need a change in their career or whatever the situation is. But we've kept the large core of our people for a long time, and
Yeah.
I'm
And you're an
blessed
independent
with.
brokerage. You're
Yeah,
up against the big dogs, like,
we
who
are.
are, shelling out checks and stuff like that. But you know what? Like, you guys have a heartbeat like we do. We always say we help the small stand tall, and provide tools that a mega company would have to an independent business. And so I think in many ways you share that sentiment by providing your agents the tools to make them successful, just as if they were with a big box brand.
Yeah, actually, probably more. I mean, honestly,
True.
the deal that I negotiated with your former company is a pretty sweet deal, and
Sweet.
it's been a big recruiting tool for me to be able to say this is everything you get when you sign up with us, and if you went and did
Yeah.
that on your own, you'd be paying a
Oh, heck
thousand
yeah.
plus dollars a month, So, all right, a
Yeah. Love
couple
it.
quick questions that I
Yeah.
ask
Yeah. And I'm
everybody that
flexible
comes.
on time. So you're good.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to ask the couple questions I typically like to ask everybody. So, which if
Cool.
you were to start back over,
Oof.
and you could either A, start back over from like when you were doing like in your dance mode, or
Mhm.
if you want to start back over from like the day you started your journey into where what you're doing now, what would you do differently?
Oh, goodness. Okay. I would do number one in both examples, whether it was when I was starting in the dance world and starting my career as an adult or in the real estate space, I would lean into more to myself more, as far as like confidence. I think in both career changes, I had kind of a ramp up period to where I really doubted myself a lot, especially even coming to constant contact, right? Like you struggle with imposter syndrome. Um, when I left dance to go into the real estate world, it's like, who am I? I'm just this dumb dance teacher. Like, how am I going to have these conversations with these CEOs and this and that? So I would definitely do that. I would like tell younger Stephanie, like, hey, be confident. You've got the juice and you'll learn things along the way. So for sure that if I had to choose something like practically what I would do different, um, I know this. I know this. I don't even know why I hesitated. I would, instead of saying that I struggle with tech. Isn't that crazy? I'm with a tech company. Um, Seriously, I was never like like I would ask my husband to set up my computer, like all those kind of things. Like I would delegate so much of it that I wasn't good at. And I think that I would have earlier on, like I've really done a good job now that I'm here in this place years later. But I would have leaned into that more. And I would
Well,
have, instead of saying, I'm not good at that, I would have said, I am going to get good at this. And I'm not going to
yeah.
let the fact that I don't have experience in that hold me back. So, yes, I would definitely have done that.
It's one of my big pet peeves is excuses, right? I'm not good
Yep.
at this, or you just got to do it. You got to put in the work. Anybody can learn it. Especially with resources like YouTube and stuff nowadays, you can learn anything you want to. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
what's the next 5 years look like for you?
So, next 5 years, I plan on continuing to grow the real estate industry at Constant Contact. I think we have so much to offer the industry, and I want to see massive changes. I want to see companies that are like, hey, we're great at this, but we are not in email deliverability. So I want to lean on Constant Contact, and I want to start really working with a lot of other tech companies to help power their email deliverability and amongst other things. So I'm really excited about just partnering with a lot more tech companies. So that's something I'm super thrilled about. But I'm getting into podcasting. So we have the Be a Marketer podcast with Constant Contact that's been really successful for several years. And we're creating a spinoff real estate version of Be a Marketer. So we're launching like a 6-part series in January and expanding it. So that's why we got to get you on it. I've got you slated as my independent broker that I want to speak to.
Awesome.
So that's a big thing that we're going to be leaning into is the podcasting, just hearing the voices. And if I were to say, like, aside from business, I just want to like really start changing the conversation from just talking about product and just talking about marketing and really start understanding the people in the industry. Like, I want to know, Mr. CEO, like, what's your backstory? How'd you get here? Right? What
Love
brought you?
that.
Because I bet you there's a lot of people that have a story like mine of I was a dance teacher and now I'm this, right? It's just so relatable. And so I hope to really dive into the industry and start learning more about the heartbeat of what built it
I
or who
love it. I
built it.
really do. What's your favorite business book?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. Okay, I'll tell you right now, the one that I just finished reading was Patrick Bet David, Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
Hmm.
So really good book. Just finished it. I hate to like bring up the one that I just finished, but it's top 5 for me. And you kind of think like, well, choose your enemies wisely. Like, gosh, I don't really have a lot of enemies. I'm not, what am I, a politician, right? But it's so much more than that. And I really just think it helps entrepreneurs, people who have an entrepreneur spirit. He talks a lot about entrepreneurs, right? Like you can have the spirit of an entrepreneur and work in a big company. And how can you do that? How can you be innovative and how can you be creative, even if you are working within a large company? But then also really tapping into that entrepreneurial spirit. So I loved that. And I think Patrick Bet David's a great author.
That's honestly one of the things like when I think about like, I've always said I'm going to do this till I'm 50 and then figure out what I do from there. But,
Yeah.
when I think about like, do I go back into the corporate world? Like, I don't know if I could do that, right? Like it's
I
like, could I
know.
be me in a corporate environment? And, like I mean, I always joke, I don't have an HR department here. I don't, like there's so many things that I would have to probably modify to fit in, but I still think I could probably do it.
I think you could. And
Yeah.
I felt I went from more of a startup, right, to a large company like Constant Contact. And there were things that you just learn that are a little bit different. And so I joke and say that corporate Stephanie had definitely a learning curve on how to do certain things. But again, that book was awesome because it really teaches you again it's almost like you got to find your niche within a big company. You've got to find where you can grow. Fortunately, I work for a company that is they were very open to that, right? They were able like where do you feel like this set of talents that you have will flourish the most? And so Yeah, that's what I've been doing this year is figuring that out, and that book has really helped me. So I definitely recommend it. I also just finished reading the Ryan Serhant book, um, and about branding. Taught me
Mhm.
a lot, just about personal branding, and so I love that. So Ian, what do you ever think about that? You're not Deacon and Hoover. I see that you had a website change, right? You're leaning more into
Yeah.
Ian S. Hoover. Like, is there something you've learned that's like helping you to like cultivate your personal brand more?
No, I think it's something I want to build up because one of my passions is educating and public speaking and stuff like that. So I think that could be a future thing for me down the road. And
Yeah.
so why not develop it now while I can, and just kind of build the following and create good content. And then the other big thing I've said it a couple of times on my podcast before is the older I get, I realize father time is undefeated, and
Mm.
all this content's going to be out there. My grandkids and my great grandkids and people who've never in my family who never get to meet me, they'll be able to check out this and be like, wow, I can see my great grandfather. So little things
Yeah,
like
that's so
that
cool.
it's just great. I'm leaving a legacy whether I like it or not.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually heard you talk about that in one of your podcast episodes, and I was like, I love that, right? We don't always think about it. And we live in a day and age too that we can leave so much more than, like my kids, I probably have like I have like a shoebox of photos of my kids, whereas like I have every movement my grandchild makes in my phone, right? Because we can take pictures and video of everything now. So I think that's amazing that we even have the capabilities to be able to pass down
100%.
all that good stuff. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
Do you have?
thanks
Did I
so
miss
much
another
for
question?
coming on. No, that's
Yeah,
it. Thanks so much for everything, and
yeah,
let's
of
just keep in
course.
touch. I look forward to my invite to your pod.
Yes, I can't wait. January, second week of
Thanks, Steph.
January. All right, bye in.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
You too. See ya.